Once upon a time, in the bustling city of Lagos, there lived a kind and intelligent young woman named Amma. Amma lived with her family in a small but cozy house. Every day, she helped her parents sell fruits and vegetables at the market. Despite not having much, Amma was always cheerful and ready to help anyone in need. Meanwhile, in the grand palace of Lagos, there lived King Asad. He was a wise and noble ruler who cared deeply for his people. King Asad often disguised himself as a commoner to walk among his people and understand their lives better. One sunny morning, King Asad decided to visit the countryside of Enugu, dressed in simple clothes so no one would recognize him. As king, Asad traveled through the tranquil farms of Enugu. He noticed a woman struggling to carry a heavy basket of yams. It was Amma. Without hesitation, Amma offered to help the stranger, not knowing he was the king. Together, they carried the basket to her family's small farm. "Thank you for your help," Amma said with a warm smile. "My name is Amma. What brings you to our village?" King Asad, enjoying the simplicity of the moment, introduced himself as Asad. "I am just a traveler," he replied. "I wanted to see the beauty of your village." Amma invited Asad to have lunch with her family. They shared stories, laughed, and enjoyed a simple meal of pounded yam and vegetable soup. King Asad was impressed by Amma's intelligence and compassion. She spoke about her dreams of making the village a better place with more schools and hospitals so everyone could have a chance to live a better life. "Why do you care so much about others?" Asad asked, genuinely curious. Amma thought for a moment and said, "I believe true wealth is not in gold or money but in the happiness and well-being of the people around us. If we help each other, we all can live better lives." King Asad was deeply moved by her words. He realized that Amma's wisdom and kindness were exactly what his kingdom needed. But he kept his true identity a secret for a little longer, wanting to learn more from her and experience life in the village. Days turned into weeks, and Asad and Amma became good friends. They worked together on the farm, shared ideas, and dreamed of a better future for the people of Enugu. Amma taught Asad how to plant crops, and in return, Asad shared stories of different places and people he had met in his travels. One day, as they were walking through the village, they saw a group of children struggling to read from old, torn books. Amma's eyes filled with determination. "We need a proper school for these children," she said. "They deserve a chance to learn and grow." Asad nodded, inspired by her vision. "Let's start by teaching them ourselves," he suggested. Amma and Asad gathered the children and began teaching them under a large mango tree. Word spread quickly, and soon more children and even adults joined their lessons. The village buzzed with excitement and hope for the future. But the time had come for King Asad to return to his palace. He knew he couldn't keep his secret forever. He decided to reveal his true identity to Amma. Taking a deep breath, he said, "Amma, there is something I need to tell you. I am not just a traveler. I am King Asad of Lagos." Amma was shocked. She couldn't believe that the kind man she had been helping was the king all along. "Your Majesty," she said, bowing her head. "I had no idea." King Asad gently lifted her chin. "Please, call me Asad. Your kindness and wisdom have shown me what true leadership is. I want you to come with me to Lagos and help me make our kingdom a better place for everyone." Amma's heart swelled with pride and happiness. She agreed, and together they traveled to Lagos. In the grand palace, Amma's ideas and compassion helped transform the kingdom. She and King Asad worked side by side, building schools, hospitals, and farms that benefited everyone. Amma's love for her people and King Asad's wisdom created a legacy that would inspire generations. They proved that true wealth was not in gold or riches, but in the hearts and minds of those who cared for each other. And so, the story of King Asad and Amma, the humble farmer's daughter, began a new chapter in the grand tale of their kingdom. King Asad and Amma worked tirelessly to improve the lives of the people in their kingdom. Every day they visited different parts of Lagos, listening to the people's concerns and finding ways to solve their problems. Amma's practical knowledge and King Asad's leadership skills complemented each other perfectly. One bright morning, Amma suggested they visit a remote village on the outskirts of Lagos. The village had been struggling with water scarcity for years. If we can bring water to this village, it will change their lives forever, Amma said with determination. King Asad agreed, and they set out on their journey. When they arrived, they saw how difficult life was for the villagers. Women and children had to walk miles to fetch water from a distant river. The fields were dry, and the crops were failing. Amma spent hours talking to the villagers, understanding their struggles. King Asad, meanwhile, met with the village elders to discuss possible solutions. Together, they came up with a plan to build a well that would provide fresh water to the entire village. The next day, work on the well began. King Asad and Amma led by example, digging and carrying stones alongside the villagers. Their hard work and dedication inspired everyone. Day by day, the well took shape, and hope filled the hearts of the people. Finally, the well was complete. The first gush of water brought cheers and tears of joy. This water is not just for drinking, Amma said, her eyes shining. It will help your crops grow, your animals thrive, and your children stay healthy. The villagers celebrated their new well with a grand feast. King Asad and Amma were the guests of honor, but they insisted on sitting and eating with everyone else. We are all one family, King Asad said, raising his cup. Together, we can achieve anything. The news of the well spread quickly throughout the kingdom, and it wasn't long before other villages asked for help. King Asad and Amma didn't hesitate. They traveled far and wide, bringing water, education, and healthcare to every corner of the kingdom. One evening, as they rested after a long day's work, King Asad turned to Amma. "You have changed my life and the lives of so many others," he said. "I can't imagine ruling this kingdom without you by my side." Amma smiled, her heart full of love and pride. "We have done this together, Asad. Your vision and my dreams have become one." In the months that followed, their bond grew stronger. The people of Lagos admired their king and Amma, not just for their hard work, but for their genuine love and respect for each other. They were a true example of how leaders should be. One day, as they were discussing plans to build a new school, King Asad took Amma's hand. "There is one more thing I want to ask," he said, his voice filled with emotion. "Will you marry me, Amma? Will you be my queen and continue this journey with me?" Amma's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Yes, Asad," she replied. "I will be honored to be your queen and partner in all things." Their wedding was a grand celebration attended by people from all over the kingdom. The palace was filled with laughter, music, and joy. King Asad and Queen Amma pledged to continue their work, bringing happiness and prosperity to everyone. As the years passed, their hospitals and farms thrived, and the people of Lagos enjoyed a period of unprecedented peace and prosperity. One day, many years after their wedding, King Asad and Queen Amma were walking through a lush garden they had planted together. They were older now, their hair touched with silver, but their love and dedication to each other and their people had only grown stronger. As they strolled, they came across a group of children playing near a fountain. The children ran up to them, excited to show their king and queen the flowers they had picked. "Look, King Asad, look, Queen Amma, aren't these flowers beautiful?" one little girl said, holding up a bouquet of colorful blooms. Queen Amma knelt down, admiring the flowers. "They are indeed beautiful," she said with a smile. "Just like all of you." King Asad watched with pride as Amma spoke to the children. He knew that her kindness and wisdom had not only changed his life, but had also transformed their entire kingdom. "Amma," he said, "we have accomplished so much together, but there is still more to do. What do you dream of next?" Amma stood up and took Asad's hand. "I dream of a future where every child has the opportunity to learn, where no one goes hungry, and where everyone lives in harmony with nature." I want to ensure that our legacy of compassion and progress continues for generations to come. King Asad nodded, his heart swelling with love and admiration. Then that is what we shall strive for, he said. Together, we will make your dreams a reality. With renewed purpose, King Asad and Queen Amma continued their work. They established new programs to educate and empower the youth, ensuring that the next generation would carry on their vision of a better world. They also focused on sustainable farming practices and environmental conservation, teaching their people to live in harmony with the land. One day, as they were overseeing the construction of a new hospital, a messenger arrived with news from a distant land. The neighboring kingdom of If was facing a terrible drought, and its people were in desperate need of help. Without hesitation, King Asad and Queen Amma mobilized their resources, sending food, water, and medical supplies to If. When the king and queen of If heard of the generosity of Lagos, they invited King Asad and Queen Amma to visit. During their stay, they shared their knowledge and experience, helping the people of If overcome their challenges. This act of kindness strengthened the bond between the two kingdoms, fostering a lasting friendship and alliance. As the years went by, King Asad and Queen Amma became known far and wide as leaders who ruled with their hearts. Their kingdom became a beacon of hope and inspiration, attracting visitors from across the continent who came to learn from their wisdom and compassion. One evening, as the sun set over the palace, King Asad and Queen Amma sat together on a balcony overlooking the city. They watched as the lights of Lagos twinkled below, a testament to the thriving, vibrant community they had nurtured. Asad, Amma said softly, "Look at what we have built together. Our kingdom is strong, our people are happy, and our legacy will endure." King Asad squeezed her hand. "Yes, Amma. And it is all because of you. Your kindness, your wisdom, and your unwavering dedication have made this possible. I am so grateful to have you by my side." Amma smiled, leaning her head on his shoulder. "And I am grateful for you, Asad. Together, we have shown that true wealth lies not in material possessions, but in the love and care we have for each other and our people." And so, King Asad and Queen Amma continued to rule with love and compassion. Their story a shining example of what true leadership and partnership could achieve. Their legacy lived on, inspiring generations to come, and proving that with wisdom, kindness, and unity, anything is possible.
In the heart of bustling Lagos, Nigeria, an old woman named Abini sat on the side of a busy street. Her wrinkled face told tales of many years, and her eyes, though weary, still held a spark of hope. Every day, she wore the same faded wrapper and carried a small woven basket where she kept a few naira notes and coins given by kind passersby. Abini had lived a life full of hard work and sacrifice. She had raised three children, Tund, Kemi, and Aduel, on her own after her husband passed away when the kids were still young. Abini worked long hours as a seamstress, stitching clothes by the dim light of her small home, just to provide for them. She loved her children dearly and did everything she could to make sure they never went hungry. But times had changed. Her children had grown up and moved away, each carving out their paths in the world. They promised to send money and take care of her, but the promises were as empty as the plates in her tiny kitchen. Days turned into weeks, and weeks into months, yet Abini received no help from her children. Left with almost nothing, Abini had no choice but to ask for help from strangers. Each morning, she would sit by the busy street, greeting people with a warm smile and a gentle request. "Please, can you spare some bread?" Some people ignored her, too busy with their own lives to notice the old woman by the road. Others would drop a few coins into her basket or offer a piece of bread with a kind word. Despite her struggles, Abini remained grateful for any small act of kindness. One hot afternoon, as the sun blazed overhead, Abini sat in her usual spot, fanning herself with an old piece of cardboard. The street was unusually quiet, and she had received no bread or money that day. Her stomach growled, reminding her that she hadn't eaten since the day before. Suddenly, the sound of a powerful engine filled the air. A shiny black SUV pulled up near her. The vehicle looked out of place among the dusty old cars that usually passed by. Abini watched curiously as the driver, a well-dressed man in a sharp suit, stepped out of the car. He was tall and had a kind face, with a gentle smile that reached his eyes. The man looked around for a moment before his gaze settled on Abini. With a few quick strides, he walked over to her, kneeling down to her level. "Good afternoon, Mama," he greeted warmly. "Are you all right?" Abini nodded, though she was surprised by his concern. "Good afternoon, my son. I am fine, just a little hungry. I am asking for bread because my children have taken all the money I had." The man looked thoughtful, then reached into his pocket and pulled out a wallet. "I can help you, Mama," he said, taking out a crisp note and placing it in her basket. "But I would also like to know more about your story. Why are you here? And where are your children now?" Abini's eyes filled with tears at his kindness. She took a deep breath and began to tell him about her life, her children, and how she had come to be sitting on the street, day after day, asking for bread. As she spoke, the man listened intently, his expression growing more serious. "This is not right," he said softly when she finished. "You should not have to beg for food. Let me take you somewhere safe, where you can rest and eat properly. We will find a way to reach your children and make sure they understand their responsibility." Abini was overwhelmed by his offer. "You are very kind, my son," she said, her voice trembling with emotion. "But I don't even know your name." The man smiled again, extending his hand to help her up. "My name is Emeka," he said, "and I believe everyone deserves to be treated with dignity, especially someone as strong as you." With that, Emeka gently guided Abini towards the SUV. As they drove away, Abini couldn't help but feel a glimmer of hope. Perhaps, after all these years, her life was about to change for the better. The city outside the window blurred into a mix of colors and sounds, but inside the car, Abini felt a sense of peace she hadn't known in a long time. As Emeka drove, Abini gazed out of the window, the familiar streets of Lagos blurring past her. The air inside the SUV was cool and comfortable, a stark contrast to the sweltering heat outside. Emeka hummed softly to a tune playing on the radio, making the journey feel less daunting for Abini. After a short while, they arrived at a modest yet charming house on the outskirts of the city. The house was surrounded by a small garden, filled with vibrant flowers and neatly trimmed hedges. Emeka parked the car and helped Abini out, guiding her towards the front door. "This is my home, Mama," he said warmly. "You are welcome here for as long as you need." Abini's heart swelled with gratitude. She hadn't felt the warmth of a home in so long. As they entered the house, she was greeted by the delicious aroma of cooking. A woman, dressed in a bright Ankara dress, came out of the kitchen, wiping her hands on a towel. She had a radiant smile that lit up the room. "Welcome, Mama," the woman said, embracing Abini with the familiarity of a long-lost friend. "My name is Kayoma. Emeka has told me about you. Please, make yourself comfortable. You must be hungry." Kayoma led Abini to a cozy dining table set with plates of steaming jollof rice, fried plantains, and a bowl of fresh fruit. Abini's eyes widened in disbelief at the sight. It had been so long since she had seen such a feast. She hesitated for a moment, unsure if it was real. "Go ahead, Mama," Kayoma encouraged gently. "Eat as much as you want." With tears of gratitude, Abini took a bite of the rice. The rich, savory flavors burst in her mouth, bringing back memories of happier times when she cooked for her children. She ate slowly, savoring each bite. while Emeka and Kayoma watched her with kind smiles. After the meal, Abini felt rejuvenated. Emeka and Kayoma sat with her in the living room, eager to hear more about her story. As they chatted, Abini opened up about her life, sharing stories of her late husband and her children's childhoods. Emeka listened intently, his brow furrowed in thought. "I know it's not easy, Mama," Emeka said finally, "but I believe we can find a way to reconnect with your children. Maybe they don't realize how difficult things have become for you." Abini sighed deeply, her gaze dropping to her hands folded in her lap. "I hope you are right, my son. I don't want to believe that my children have forgotten about me." Kayoma leaned forward, her eyes filled with determination. "We will help you, Mama. We will find a way to reach them. But first, you must rest. You've been through so much." That evening, as the sun set over Lagos, casting a golden glow over the city, Abini lay down on a comfortable bed for the first time in years. She thought about Emeka and Kayoma, and how their kindness had brought a ray of hope into her life. She closed her eyes, feeling a sense of peace and comfort that she hadn't known in a long time. The next morning, Emeka and Kayoma began making plans to help Abini. Emeka used his contacts to gather information about Tun, Kemi, and Adewale. It took some time, but eventually they found a lead. Tund, the eldest son, was living in Abuja, working as an engineer. Kemi had moved to Ghana to start a business, and Adewale, the youngest, was in London studying medicine. Emeka sat down with Abini, showing her the information they had gathered. "We can try reaching out to them, Mama. It might take some time, but I believe they will want to hear from you." Abini's eyes welled up with tears. She had not heard from her children in so long. The thought of reconnecting with them filled her with both hope and fear. "Thank you, Emeka. You have done so much for me already. I don't know how to repay your kindness." Emeka shook his head, smiling. "You don't need to repay me, Mama. Helping you is my reward." With renewed determination, Abini decided to write letters to each of her children. She poured her heart into each word, telling them about her struggles and how much she missed them. Emeka promised to send the letters through his contacts and see if they could be delivered. Days turned into weeks as Abini waited for a response. During this time, she grew closer to Emeka and Kayoma, who treated her like family. They took her to see the bustling markets of Lagos, shared stories of their own lives, and even taught her how to use a smartphone. One afternoon, as Abini sat in the garden, enjoying the cool breeze, Emeka approached her with a letter in his hand. "Mama, there's something for you," he said, handing her the envelope. Abini's hands trembled as she took the letter. It was from Tun, her eldest son. With tears in her eyes, she opened it and began to read. "Dear Mama," the letter began, "I am so sorry." Abini's hands shook as she unfolded the letter from Tun. Emeka and Kayoma watched quietly, giving her the space she needed to absorb her son's words. "Dear Mama, I am so sorry for everything. I had no idea you were in such a difficult situation. I got caught up in my life and work, and I neglected the most important person in my life, you. Your letter broke my heart, but it also opened my eyes. I can't believe how selfish I've been. I remember all the sacrifices you made for us, how you worked tirelessly to give us a better life. You deserved so much better from us. I am coming to Lagos as soon as I can. I want to make things right. Please forgive me, Mama. Love." Tun. Tears streamed down Abini's face as she read Tun's letter. The words were a balm to her wounded heart. Emeka placed a comforting hand on her shoulder, while Kayoma handed her a tissue. "See, Mama," Kayoma said softly. "He cares. He's coming back to you." Abini nodded, wiping her tears. "I've waited so long for this moment," she whispered. "I was so afraid they had forgotten me." Emeka smiled reassuringly. It's clear they haven't. This is just the beginning. We'll get through this together. In the days that followed, Abini received responses from Kemi and Adawale as well. Kemi's letter was filled with guilt and regret, mirroring Tun's sentiments. She wrote about her struggles in Ghana and how she had lost touch with family in her pursuit of success. She promised to visit Abini soon and make amends. Adwale's letter arrived from London. He expressed deep remorse and shame for not staying in contact. He wrote about how his studies had consumed him and how he had convinced himself that their mother was doing fine on her own. He vowed to come home as soon as his semester ended. Dear Mama, I am so sorry for not being there for you. I can't believe how much time has passed since we last spoke. Your letter made me realize how disconnected I've been from the family, and especially from you. I've been so focused on my studies here in London that I forgot to check in on the most important person in my life. Please forgive me for my neglect. I'll be coming home as soon as my semester ends. I want to see you and make up for lost time. I promise I won't let you down again. Love, Adawale. With each letter, Abini's heart swelled with hope and relief. She spent her days eagerly anticipating their arrival, dreaming of the moment when she could hold her children again and tell them how much she loved them. A few weeks later, Tund arrived in Lagos. Emeka and Kayoma helped arrange a small welcome gathering at their home. Abini's heart raced with excitement and nervousness as she waited for Tund's arrival. When the doorbell rang, Abini's breath caught in her throat. Emeka opened the door to reveal Tund, standing there with a suitcase in hand. He looked older and more worn than Abini remembered, but his eyes were filled with the same love and warmth she had always known. Mama, Tund exclaimed, rushing to embrace her. Abini wrapped her arms around him, holding him tightly, as if afraid to let go. My son, she whispered, tears streaming down her face. You came back to me. Tund held her close, his own eyes brimming with tears. I'm so sorry, Mama. I'll never leave you again. They sat together, catching up on lost time. Tund shared stories of his life in Abuja, his work, and the challenges he had faced. Abini listened intently, soaking in every detail, grateful to have her son back by her side. Over the next few days, Tund and Abini spent a lot of time together. They visited the places where Abini had spent her childhood, reminiscing about the past and creating new memories. Emeka and Kayoma were always nearby, providing support and companionship. A few weeks later, Kemi arrived from Ghana. She walked into the house with a bouquet of flowers and a look of deep regret on her face. Abini welcomed her with open arms, her heart overflowing with love and forgiveness. Oh, Mama, I'm so sorry, Kemi cried, hugging Abini tightly. I've missed you so much. I've missed you too, my daughter, Abini replied, her voice choked with emotion. But you're here now, and that's all that matters. Kemi spent hours talking with Abini, sharing her experiences and dreams. She confessed how she had been too proud to ask for help, afraid that her mother would worry. But now, she promised to stay connected and to never let pride come between them again. With Tund and Kemi by her side, Abini's days were filled with joy and laughter. They took her to the beach, explored the vibrant markets of Lagos, and even visited the local church where Abini had once been a regular. As the weeks turned into months, Adawale finally arrived from London. He was taller and more mature than Abini remembered, but his eyes still held the same spark of curiosity and kindness. Mama, he said softly as he stepped into the house. Abini rushed to him, wrapping her arms around him in a tight embrace. My dear Adawale, she murmured, tears of joy streaming down her face. I've missed you so much. I'm sorry, Mama, Adawale said, his voice filled with regret. I should have been there for you. I promise to make it up to you. With all her children now back in her life, Abini felt a sense of completeness she had long thought lost. Emeka and Kayoma had become like family to her, their home a sanctuary where she had found hope and love once more. As they all sat together one evening, sharing a meal and laughter, Abini looked around the table, her heart overflowing with gratitude. "This is the happiest I've been in a long time," she said, her voice filled with emotion. "Thank you all for bringing me back to life." Emeka raised his glass, a warm smile on his face. "To family," he toasted. "May we always find our way back to each other." Months passed, and the once lonely days of Abini's life were now filled with the laughter and love of her reunited family. With Tond, Kemi, and Aduel around her, Abini felt a renewed sense of purpose and joy. Emeka and Kayoma had become more than just kind strangers. They were like the children she had never had, binding the fabric of her life back together with their warmth and care. Each day brought new adventures. Abini and her children explored Lagos, visiting the bustling markets, enjoying the local cuisine, and walking through the vibrant streets filled with music and life. They even made a special trip to her old neighborhood, where Abini pointed out the house where they had grown up and the school they had attended. It was a bittersweet journey, filled with nostalgia and the healing power of revisiting cherished memories. One day, while sitting in the garden with her children and Emeka and Kayoma, Abini's thoughts turned to the future. She looked at the people around her, her heart full of gratitude and love. "My children," Abini began, her voice steady but filled with emotion, "I have something important to discuss with you." They all turned to her, their faces reflecting curiosity and concern. "I've been thinking a lot about what comes next," she continued. "I'm not getting any younger, and while I've found so much happiness being with all of you again, I know that life goes on. You have your lives, your dreams to follow." Tund, Kemi, and Aduel exchanged glances, their expressions serious. "We want you to be happy, Mama," Tund said softly. "We're here for you, whatever you decide." Abini smiled, reaching out to hold their hands. "Thank you, my dear children. Emeka and Kayoma have offered me a place to stay, where I can live comfortably and be surrounded by people who care for me. But I want you to know that my door is always open to you." Kemi leaned in, her eyes shining with tears. "We'll visit often, Mama. We promise." Aduel nodded. "And we'll stay in touch, no matter where we are." Emeka, who had been listening quietly, spoke up. "You will always have a home with us, Mama Abini. You are part of our family now." Abini's heart swelled with emotion. She felt blessed to have such love and support around her. "Thank you, Emeka Kayoma. You've given me a new lease on life." As the weeks turned into months, Abini settled into her new life with Emeka and Kayoma. Her children kept their promises, visiting her regularly and staying in touch through phone calls and video chats. Each visit brought joy and laughter, creating new memories to cherish. One bright morning, as Abini sat in the garden watching the sun rise, she felt a deep sense of peace. The years of hardship and loneliness seemed like a distant memory. She had found a new family, new friends, and a renewed connection with her children. Life had come full circle, and she was content. Emeka joined her in the garden, bringing 2 cups of steaming tea. "Good morning, Mama," he greeted warmly, handing her a cup. "Good morning, Emeka," Abini replied, smiling up at him. "It's a beautiful day." Emeka sat beside her, taking a sip of his tea. "Indeed it is. How are you feeling today?" Abini looked at the blooming flowers around her, the gentle sway of the trees in the breeze, and the warmth of the sun on her face. "I feel at peace," she said softly. "I'm surrounded by love, and for that, I am grateful." Emeka nodded, his eyes reflecting the morning's light. You've brought so much joy into our lives, Mama. We're the ones who are grateful. As they sat together in the serene garden, Abini reflected on the journey that had brought her to this moment. From the streets of Lagos to the warmth of Emeka and Chioma's home, she had found her way back to happiness, surrounded by the love of family and friends. And in that moment, Abini knew that no matter what the future held, she had found her place, and her heart was finally at home. Years later, the story of Abini's reunion with her children and the kindness of Emeka and Chioma became a cherished tale in their community. Abini lived out her days surrounded by love, her life a testament to the power of hope, family, and the kindness of strangers. She passed peacefully in her sleep, a smile on her face, knowing she was deeply loved and never alone. Emeka and Chioma continued to honor Abini's memory, welcoming others into their home who needed love and support, just as they had welcomed Abini. Her children remained close, their bond stronger than ever, forever grateful for the second chance to show their mother the love and care she had always given them. And in the heart of Lagos, where the sun set over the bustling city, Abini's story lived on, a reminder that no matter how difficult life may become, love and kindness can light the way back to happiness.
In a vibrant village in Ghana, nestled between lush green hills and the sparkling waters of the Volta River, lived a 10-year-old boy named Wilson. Wilson was a bright and cheerful child, always seen with a big smile and a heart full of kindness. He lived with his grandmother, Amma, in a modest house made of clay bricks and thatched roof. Every morning, Wilson would walk to the village school with his best friend, Quame. The two boys loved their journey through the bustling market, where vendors called out, selling everything from juicy mangoes to colorful kente cloths. One sunny day, as Wilson and Quame approached the crowded bus stop, they saw an elderly woman struggling to gather coins for her bus fare. Her face was worn, and her clothes were patched but clean. Wilson's heart ached seeing her. He quickly reached into his pocket and pulled out the little money he had saved for snacks. "Excuse me, ma'am," Wilson said softly, stepping forward. "Please let me pay for your fare." The old woman looked up, her eyes filled with gratitude and surprise. "Oh, bless you, child. Thank you," she whispered, her voice trembling with emotion. Wilson handed the coins to the bus conductor, who gave a nod of appreciation. The woman smiled warmly at Wilson, and as she boarded the bus, she gave him a gentle pat on the head. Quame watched in awe as the bus pulled away, leaving a trail of dust behind. "Wilson, that was really kind of you," Quame said, impressed by his friend's generosity. "You gave away all your money." "It's okay, Quame," Wilson replied with a grin. "Helping others feels better than any snack." The two friends continued their walk to school, chatting and laughing as usual. The next morning, Wilson woke up to the sound of a car horn honking outside his house. He jumped out of bed and peered through the small window. His eyes widened in amazement. There, parked in front of his house, was a sleek, black luxury car. It was unlike anything he had ever seen in their village. "Wilson, come quickly," called Amma from the doorway. "Someone is here to see you." Wilson rushed outside, his heart pounding with excitement and curiosity. Standing next to the car was a man in a smart suit, holding an envelope. Beside him was the same elderly woman from the bus stop, but now she looked different. Her clothes were elegant, and her posture was dignified. "Wilson, it's you," the woman exclaimed, a radiant smile on her face. "I am Afia. Yesterday, you showed me such kindness. I am not just an old woman. I am the owner of many businesses in the city. "This is my son, Kwiku." Wilson stood speechless, trying to process what he was hearing. Afia continued, "Your generous act touched my heart deeply. I wanted to thank you in a special way. So, I have a gift for you." She handed the envelope to Wilson, who opened it with trembling hands. Inside were crisp bills, more money than Wilson had ever seen. His eyes grew wide with astonishment. But why?" Wilson stammered. "I only gave you a little money. Your kindness is worth more than any amount of money," Afia replied gently. "And I want to help you and your grandmother. This car is also for you to use whenever you need." Amma, who had been watching from the doorway, wiped a tear from her eye. "Wilson, this is a blessing. You did a good thing, and now good things are coming back to you." Wilson felt a warm glow in his chest. He looked at Afia and Kwiku, then at the luxury car, and finally at his grandmother. He understood that sometimes even small acts of kindness could lead to big, unexpected rewards. With a newfound sense of wonder, Wilson and Quame spent the day exploring the village in the luxury car. They drove past the market, the school, and the riverbank, waving to friends and neighbors who looked on in amazement. The whole village buzzed with excitement about Wilson's extraordinary adventure. As they drove, Wilson couldn't stop thinking about how his life had changed overnight. But he was more curious about the future. What other surprises lay ahead? How could he use this gift to help others? That evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, casting a golden glow over the village, Wilson sat on the steps of his home, looking at the stars. His heart was full, and he felt a deep connection to the world around him. The following day, Wilson went to school with a spring in his step. As he walked through the school gate, his classmates gathered around, eager to hear about the luxury car and the woman who had visited his house. Wilson shared the story, emphasizing the lesson he had learned about kindness and its unexpected rewards. During recess, the school principal, Mr. Asari, called Wilson into his office. Mr. Asari, a wise and gentle man with silver hair and glasses that sat low on his nose, had heard about Wilson's act of generosity and the surprising events that followed. "Wilson," Mr. Asari began with a kind smile, "what you did for that woman was very special. You showed true character and compassion. And now, I hear you have received a wonderful gift in return." Wilson nodded, still a bit overwhelmed by everything that had happened. "Have you thought about how you might use this new opportunity to help others?" Mr. Asari asked, leaning forward with interest. Wilson pondered the question. He hadn't thought much beyond the initial excitement of the luxury car and the money, but now he felt a strong desire to give back to his community, just as he had been blessed. "I want to help," Wilson said earnestly, "but I don't know how." Mr. Asari's eyes twinkled. "There are many ways to help, Wilson. Let's find one that feels right for you." Over the next few weeks, with Mr. Asari's guidance, Wilson and Quame brainstormed ideas on how to use the gift to benefit the village. They decided to start a small fund to support students who couldn't afford school supplies and uniforms. With Afia's generous donation, they were able to purchase notebooks, pencils, backpacks, and even provide scholarships for a few of their classmates. The village's children and their families were overjoyed, and Wilson became a local hero, admired for his generosity and leadership. Wilson also used the luxury car to help the elderly and those in need. He drove villagers to the clinic when they were sick and helped transport goods for local businesses. His actions brought the community closer together, and the once quiet village now buzzed with the spirit of unity and support. As the months passed, Wilson learned many valuable lessons. He discovered that true wealth wasn't just about money or luxury cars. It was about using what you have to make a positive difference in the world. One day, as Wilson and Quame were helping clean up the village playground, Afia visited them again. This time, she brought Kwiku, who had become a friend to Wilson. "Wilson," Afia said warmly, "I see how you have used your gift to uplift others. I am so proud of you." Wilson smiled, feeling a deep sense of fulfillment. "Thank you, Afia. I've learned that kindness can create ripples that touch many lives." Afia nodded in agreement. "Indeed, it can. And now, I have another surprise for you. I've set up a scholarship fund in your name. It will help many children in this village get the education they deserve." Wilson's eyes filled with tears of joy. "Thank you so much, Afia. This means more to me than anything." The scholarship fund ensured that generations of children from the village could pursue their dreams. Wilson's simple act of kindness had sparked a wave of positive change, not just for him, but for his entire community. Years later, Wilson grew up to be a respected leader in the village. The story of the 10-year-old boy who paid the bus fare for a poor woman and received a luxury car became a cherished legend. It was told and retold around village fires and in classrooms, inspiring young and old alike. Wilson continued to champion education and community support, always remembering the lesson he had learned from his encounter with Afia. His life was a testament to the power of kindness and the extraordinary impact one small, selfless act could have. The village thrived, its people united by a common thread of generosity and compassion. And every year, on the anniversary of that fateful day, the village celebrated Wilson Day, a day dedicated to acts of kindness and giving back. Wilson's journey showed that in the heart of Africa, where stories were as rich as the land itself, one boy's simple gesture could change the world, one act of kindness at a time.